You think you know someone until they shove you against a wall and laugh while you bleed. In a cramped Seattle apartment, the air is thick, heavy with unspoken grudges. Lila Bennett, 23, stands in the kitchen, her fingers trembling around a chipped coffee mug. The hum of a dishwasher churns in the background, drowning out memories of laughter that once bounced off these peeling walls. Now, every sound feels jagged, like broken glass. Her older sister, Cassie Bennett, 25, storms in, her eyes blazing, her blonde hair swinging like a weapon. "Don't touch my stuff," Cassie screams, her voice slicing through the room. Lila flinches, confused. "I didn't touch anything," she says, her voice small, barely audible over the clatter of dishes. She only came for coffee, her one moment of peace in this suffocating home. But Cassie doesn't listen. She never does. The argument erupts fast, like a match dropped in gasoline. Cassie accuses Lila of sneaking into her room, messing with her laptop, her lifeline to a fancy tech job she's chasing. Lila shakes her head, clutching the mug tighter. "I don't even go near your room. Cassie, please." Her words trail off, weak against Cassie's rage. The kitchen feels smaller now, the fluorescent light buzzing like a warning. Cassie steps closer, her fists clenched, her face red with fury. "You're always in my way," she hisses, and before Lila can react, Cassie shoves her hard. Lila stumbles back, slamming into the refrigerator. Pain explodes in her ribs, sharp and searing, like a knife twisting inside her. The mug slips from her hands, shattering on the tile floor, coffee pooling like blood. Lila gasps, clutching her side, her knees buckling. "Cassie, stop," she cries, but her sister just stands there, smirking, as if Lila's pain is a game. From the living room, their mother, Ellen Bennett, calls out, her voice lazy, dripping with annoyance. "Oh, Lila, stop stirring trouble." No concern, no rush to help. Just those words, tossed like crumbs to a stray dog. Lila looks toward the hallway, her vision blurring with tears, hoping for a glimpse of care. But Ellen doesn't move from the couch, doesn't even glance away from her reality TV show. The laugh track blares, mocking Lila's agony. "She didn't mean it," Ellen adds, brushing off the violence like dust. "Don't be so dramatic." Lila slides to the floor, the cold tiles biting her skin. Her ribs throb with every shallow breath, and something inside her cracks not just bone, but something deeper, something that's been bending for years. This isn't just a fight. This is her life, a life where Cassie, the golden child, can do no wrong, where Ellen picks favorites and Lila is never it, where their father, Ron, stays silent, a ghost in his own home. The apartment, with its stained carpets and flickering lights, feels like a cage, and Lila is the bird who forgot how to fly. But as she sits there, surrounded by broken porcelain and her own pain, a spark ignites. She's 23, a part-time barista, a struggling art student, but she's not nothing, not anymore. Her eyes narrow, her fingers curl into fists. This is where it starts. This is where she stops bleeding for them. The kitchen tiles are still sticky with spilled coffee, but Lila drags herself up, each breath a dagger in her ribs. She limps to the bathroom, locking the door, her hands shaking as she lifts her shirt. Bruises bloom across her side, dark purple, angry, like storm clouds under her skin. She presses a finger to the swelling and winces, tears stinging her eyes. This isn't new. Cassie's temper has always been a wildfire, and Lila's always been the one to burn. But this time, it's different. This time, the pain feels like a wake-up call, screaming at her to stop hiding. In the living room, Ellen flips through channels, the TV's glow casting shadows on her face. "You okay, honey?" she calls, but there's no warmth in it, just a rote question to check a box. Lila doesn't answer. She knows better. Ellen's love is a currency, and Cassie's the only one who gets paid. At 25, Cassie is the star, the daughter who just needs a little time to shine. Unemployed, yes, but always excused, Lila. Though she's the afterthought, the one who pays the price for Cassie's failures. Like last month, when Cassie borrowed $200 from Lila's barista tips for a new dress, only to spend it on a weekend bar crawl. Or the time she spread lies at Lila's high school, saying Lila cheated on Jake, her first love, just so Cassie could slide into his DMs. Jake believed her. Everyone did. That's Cassie's gift, spinning stories that stick, leaving Lila to clean up the wreckage. Lila shuffles to her bedroom, a tiny closet of a space with a sagging mattress and a desk piled with sketchbooks. She sinks onto the bed, her ribs screaming, and pulls out her phone. A notification blinks a bank alert. Her heart sinks. Another unauthorized charge, $300, siphoned from her account. She checks the details, her stomach twisting. A credit card she never opened, in her name, linked to Cassie's email. Lila's been paying off Cassie's debts for months, thinking it was her own mistake. Now she sees the truth. Cassie didn't just take her money. She stole her identity, her future. Lila's fingers hover over the call button, desperate to confront her sister. But she stops. Cassie's in the kitchen now, humming, carefree, as if she didn't just break Lila's body and her trust. Dinner that night is a minefield. Ron, their father, slumps at the table, his eyes fixed on his plate, avoiding the tension. Ellen dishes out lasagna, her voice syrupy as she talks about Cassie's latest job application. "It's a big tech firm downtown," she says, beaming. "They're gonna love her." Cassie smirks, twirling her fork. "Yeah, I'm basically a shoo-in." Lila stares at her plate, her appetite gone. She wants to scream about the credit card, the bruises, the years of being erased. Instead, she mutters, "I need to talk about my bank account." Ellen's smile falters. "Not now, Lila. We're celebrating Cassie's future." Cassie leans forward, her eyes glinting. "What's wrong?" "Sis, overspend on your little art supplies again." The jab lands hard, and Lila's cheeks burn. She grips her fork, her knuckles white, but says nothing. Silence is her shield, but it's cracking. Later, alone in her room, Lila opens her laptop, her hands trembling as she logs into her bank. The numbers glare back a $5,000 debt, all in her name, all because of Cassie. She thinks of confronting Ellen, but memories flood in every time she tried to speak up. Ellen shut her down, like when Lila was 16 and Cassie stole her birthday cash, claiming she deserved it. Ellen just laughed. "Sisters fight," she said. "Don't make a big deal." But this is a big deal. This is Lila's life, slipping through her fingers. She closes her eyes, the weight of years pressing down years of being the scapegoat, the one blamed when the rent was late, when Cassie's lies unraveled. Her ribs ache, her heart aches. But something else stirs. Anger, not the fleeting kind, but the kind that builds, slow and steady, like a storm gathering strength. She grabs a notebook, scribbling one word, "enough." It's not a plan yet, but it's a promise. To herself, to the girl she's been too afraid to be. Lila wakes to a gray Seattle dawn. The pain in her ribs, a dull roar that pulses with every breath. She lies still, staring at the water-stained ceiling of her tiny bedroom. The weight of last night's discoveries crushing her. $5,000 in debt, stolen by Cassie, her own sister. Bruises mapping her body like a traitor's signature. And Ellen's voice, always Ellen's voice, brushing it all off. Don't make a big deal. Lila wants to scream, to tear the walls down. But she's learned that screaming doesn't work here. In this apartment, her pain is just background noise. She drags herself out of bed, wincing as she pulls on a hoodie to hide the bruises. The mirror in the bathroom shows a stranger, pale, hollow-eyed, her dark hair tangled from restless sleep. She splashes cold water on her face, trying to wash away the shame, not just of the bruises, but of staying, of letting Cassie and Ellen chip away at her for years. At 23, Lila's life feels like a borrowed thing, pieced together from scraps of other people's wants. She works shifts at a bustling Pike Place Market coffee shop, steaming lattes for tech bros and tourists, her tips vanishing into Ellen's household expenses or worse. Cassie's bar tabs, her art classes at the community college, her one escape, are on hold. She can't afford the tuition now. Not with the debt Cassie pinned on her. Lila knows she should fight back, but the thought paralyzes her. What if Ellen kicks her out? What if Cassie turns the family against her for good? She's already the outcast, the dramatic one. So she limps through the day, swallowing her rage. At the coffee shop, her boss notices her wincing and asks if she's okay. Just clumsy. Lila lies, forcing a smile. The words taste like ash. She's not clumsy. She's broken. And the person who broke her is humming in the kitchen right now, planning her next big break. That evening, Lila sneaks to a low-cost clinic near the waterfront, the kind with flickering signs and long waits. The doctor, a tired woman with kind eyes, confirms what Lila feared: a fractured rib. This didn't happen from a fall, the doctor says, her voice gentle but firm. Lila looks away, her throat tight. I tripped, she mumbles. The doctor hands her a pamphlet on domestic violence, but Lila tucks it into her bag, unopened. She can't face that word yet. Abuse. It's too big, too final. Instead, she pays for the visit with her last $20. Her credit card already maxed out from family emergencies, Ellen swore she'd repay. Back at the apartment, Lila overhears Ellen and Cassie in the living room, laughing over wine. That tech job's gonna change everything, Cassie brags. They're dying to hire me. Ellen coos. I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. Lila stands frozen in the hallway, invisible. She wants to barge in, to demand why her pain doesn't matter, why Cassie gets to steal and hurt and still be the star. But her feet won't move. Not yet. Instead, she retreats to her room, locking the door, and pulls out her phone. She starts recording, her hands shaky but deliberate. First, the bruises ugly, sprawling, a map of betrayal. Then, she captures Ellen's voice from the living room, careless and damning, "Don't call the cops. Lila, it'll ruin Cassie's applications." The words burn, but they're proof that this isn't in her head. Lila's phone buzzes with a text from Aunt Clara, her mother's estranged sister, the only family member who ever saw through Ellen's facade. "You don't have to stay," Clara writes. "You're stronger than you know." Lila stares at the words, her chest tightening. Strong. She doesn't feel strong. She feels like a ghost haunting her own life. But Clara's message plants a seed. Lila digs through a box under her bed, finding a letter from her grandmother, tucked away years ago. It mentions the apartment, left in Lila's name as a safety net. Ellen always said it was a lie, that the property was hers. But the letter feels like a lifeline now, a whisper of power Lila didn't know she had. She clutches it, her heart racing. For the first time, she imagines a way out, not just surviving, but fighting. Her ribs ache, but her resolve hardens. She's not ready to act, not yet. But she's done bending. The ghost in her is waking up, and it's hungry. Lila sits cross-legged on her sagging mattress, the dim glow of her laptop casting shadows on the walls of her cramped Seattle bedroom. Her ribs throb, a constant reminder of Cassie's violence. But the pain fuels her now, sharpening her focus. The letter from her grandmother lies beside her. Its words a quiet rebellion. This apartment, this cage, is hers. Ellen lied for years, claiming it belonged to the family. But the truth is Lila's weapon, and she's learning how to wield it. Her phone, filled with photos of bruises, and Ellen's damning voice, "Don't call the cops," sits like a loaded gun. She's not the scared girl who hid in the bathroom anymore. She's a strategist, plotting in the dark. Cassie's smug confidence is Lila's first target. Over breakfast, Cassie brags about her upcoming interview with a hotshot tech firm in downtown Seattle, a place that builds apps for millions. "They're begging for someone like me," she says, flipping her hair, while Ellen nods like a proud stage mom. Lila, silent at the table, notices Cassie's laptop left open, a rookie mistake. Later, when Cassie's out, Lila sneaks a look. The screen reveals a resume polished to a shine. But it's a house of lies. Cassie claims she led a project at a startup that never existed, lists a degree she didn't earn, and names a professor, Dr. Helen Wyatt, as a reference. Lila's seen Cassie's old tweets, vicious rants calling Wyatt a bitter hag for failing her. The hypocrisy makes Lila's blood boil. But it's also an opening. She digs deeper, her fingers flying across her phone. Cassie's social media is a gold mine of contradictions, posts boasting about internships she never had, photos from business trips that were just bar hops. Lila screenshots everything, her heart pounding. She records a clip of Cassie in the living room, laughing with Ellen about fudging the details to land the job. Every piece of evidence is a brick in the wall Lila's building, one that will trap Cassie in her own deceit. But it's not enough to expose her. Lila wants to dismantle the life Cassie's stolen: her money, her trust, her future. The credit card debt gnaws at her. $5,000, fraudulently opened in Lila's name, has tanked her credit and her dreams. She Googles legal aid, her hands trembling, and finds a pro bono lawyer, Sarah Nguyen, who specializes in financial abuse. Over a shaky Zoom call, Lila spills everything: the debt, the bruises, the years of being erased. Sarah's voice is calm but fierce. "This is identity theft, Lila. We can fight it." She guides Lila to file a fraud report, gather bank statements, and document Cassie's access to her accounts. Lila emails Sarah the photos of her injuries, the recordings, even the letter proving the apartment is hers. Each click feels like a step toward freedom. Lila's next move is surgical. She crafts an anonymous email to the tech firm's HR, her words precise, cutting. "You're considering Cassie Bennett." She types, "This is who she really is." She attaches the screenshots, the professor's name, the clip of Cassie admitting to lies. She includes her medical report, the bruises, and Ellen's voice shielding her golden child. "This is the person you'd trust with your brand." She writes, her pulse racing. She hits send, her breath catching. It's done. No turning back. But the apartment is the real prize. Lila contacts the property management company, her voice steady as she presents her grandmother's letter and her ID. The manager confirms it. The lease is in Lila's name. Ellen's been forging documents to keep control, but Lila's the legal tenant. She requests a formal eviction notice, her hands clenching with a mix of fear and triumph. The manager warns it'll take time, but Lila's patient. She's waited years for this. Back in her room, Lila sketches in her notebook a bird breaking free from chains, its wings sharp as blades. The drawing is her vow, her fire. Cassie's interview is tomorrow. The email's out there, circling like a hawk. The eviction notice is coming. Lila lies back, staring at the ceiling, a smile tugging at her lips. For the first time, she feels dangerous, not to others, but to the lies that caged her. The truth is her blade, and she's ready to cut. The Seattle sky is a bruise of gray, mirroring the storm brewing in the apartment. Lila stands in the hallway, her heart a drum beat, as Cassie bursts through the front door, her face twisted, mascara streaking like war paint. The tech firm interview was a disaster. Someone betrayed me. Cassie screams, her voice shattering the morning quiet. She hurls her purse across the living room, its contents spilling lipstick, keys, a stolen dream. Ellen rushes in, her robe flapping, eyes wide with panic. What happened? Sweetheart, she pleads, hands fluttering like nervous birds. Lila stays still, her breath shallow, her fractured rib a dull ache beneath her hoodie. She's been waiting for this moment, the unraveling of Cassie's perfect facade. Cassie paces, her heels clicking on the hardwood, spitting venom. They knew everything, she says, her voice cracking. My resume, the professor, even some medical report about an assault. They called me a liar. Her eyes dart around, wild, searching for a culprit. Ellen gasps, clutching her chest. Who would do this to you, she wails, as if Cassie's the victim, not the one who left bruises on her sister's body. Lila leans against the wall, her face a mask of calm, but inside, she's electric. The email she sent to the tech firm, the screenshots, the recording of Ellen's voice, "Don't call the cops," have landed like a grenade. And this is just the beginning. Cassie's gaze locks onto Lila, narrowing to slits. You, she hisses, stepping closer, her finger jabbing the air. You did this, didn't you? Lila tilts her head, her voice steady, laced with ice. Funny how the truth catches up, isn't it? The words hang there, sharp, unyielding. Ellen spins toward Lila, her face a mix of shock and betrayal. Lila, you wouldn't, she says. But it's not a question. It's a plea for denial. Lila meets her mother's eyes, unflinching. I did, she says, and the admission feels like shedding chains. The room crackles with tension, a powder keg ready to blow. Cassie lunges, her hands clawing for Lila. But Lila's ready. She steps back, dodging, her phone already in hand. 911 on speed dial. Don't, Lila warns, her voice low, dangerous. I've got everything, photos, recordings, the debt you pinned on me. One more move, and I press call. Cassie freezes, her chest heaving, rage warring with fear. Ellen grabs Cassie's arm, pulling her back, but her eyes stay on Lila, searching for the daughter she thought she controlled. You're tearing this family apart, Ellen cries, her voice trembling. But Lila shakes her head. You did that, she says, every time you let her hurt me, every time you looked the other way. The air shifts as Ron shuffles in, his face weary, avoiding Lila's gaze. He's been a ghost in this house. But now he mutters, Lila, enough. She's your sister. The words sting. But Lila's done begging for his approval. She pulls an envelope from her pocket. The eviction notice, stamped, official, her name on the letterhead. She drops it on the coffee table, the sound like a gavel. This apartment is mine, she says, her voice rising, clear. Grandma left it to me, not you. You have 30 days to leave. Ellen's mouth falls open, her hands shaking as she snatches the paper, scanning it, her world crumbling. Cassie laughs, a bitter, jagged sound. You're bluffing, she says. But her eyes flicker with doubt. Lila steps forward, her voice a blade. I'm not the one who's been lying. I've got the lease, the proof, and the law on my side. You stole my money, my name, my life. And now I'm taking it back. Cassie charges again, her scream raw, primal. But Lila sidesteps, and Cassie trips, crashing into a chair. The chaos peaks as Ellen shrieks, "Stop it! Both of you!" But Lila's already dialing. "Police," she says into the phone, her voice calm, final. Cassie scrambles to her feet, her face pale, realizing the game's over. "You'll pay for this," she spits, but Lila just smiles, cold and sure. "I already have," she says, "with every bruise you gave me, every lie you told." The sound of sirens grows closer, a wail that matches the panic in Cassie's eyes. Ellen sinks onto the couch, the eviction notice crumpled in her hands, muttering, "How could you?" But Lila doesn't answer. She's done explaining. The dominoes are falling, and she's the one who pushed them. For the first time, she stands tall, not as the victim, but as the storm. The police leave, their radios crackling into the Seattle dusk, and the apartment falls silent, a battlefield after the war. Cassie's screams still echo in Lila's ears, but she's gone now, escorted out with a warning to stay away. Ellen sits on the couch, her face a mask of disbelief, the eviction notice clutched like a lifeline she can't trust. Ron stands by the window, staring at the rain-slicked street, his silence louder than ever. Lila stands in the center of the living room, her ribs aching but her spine straight. The air feels different, lighter, like the moment a fever breaks. This is her ground now, and she's claiming it. Ellen tries one last plea, her voice quivering. "Lila, we're family! You can't do this!" But Lila's heard that word family used as a weapon too many times. She shakes her head, her voice steady. Family doesn't steal. Family doesn't bruise. You had 30 days. Use them. Ellen's eyes well up, but Lila doesn't soften. She's done carrying their guilt. Ron mutters something about fairness, but Lila cuts him off. Fair was me paying for Cassie's lies. Fair was me bleeding while you looked away. This is justice. The word lands like a stone, and Ron flinches, retreating to his silence. Over the next week, Lila moves fast, her resolve a fire that won't dim. She meets with Sarah Nunyan, the pro bono lawyer, who files paperwork to clear the fraudulent debt Cassie pinned on her. Sarah's office, a cluttered space downtown, smells of coffee and hope. "You're doing the right thing," Sarah says, handing Lila a stack of forms. "This debt isn't yours." Lila signs, her hand steady, each signature a step toward reclaiming her name. The bank freezes the account, and Cassie's access is cut off. Lila feels a weight lift, like shedding a skin she never chose. The apartment is next. Lila contacts the property manager, a brisk woman named Maria, who confirms the lease is hers. Ellen's forged signatures are void, and the eviction is legal. Lila walks through the rooms, seeing them anew not as a prison, but as a canvas. She buys paint cans with her last barista paycheck, choosing a soft blue to erase the years of tension. She paints over scuffs, over memories, her arms aching but her heart light. Cassie's old room, once a shrine to her chaos, becomes Lila's sanctuary. She drags in a thrift store easel, sets up her sketchbooks, and hangs a single drawing a bird, wings spread, soaring free. The act feels sacred, like rewriting her story. Ellen and Ron pack slowly, their resentment a heavy fog. Cassie tries to call, leaving voicemails that swing from fake apologies to venomous threats. "You're ruining my life." She sobs in one, but Lila deletes it without a second thought. She's not here to save Cassie anymore. Aunt Clara visits, her warm presence a balm. Over tea. She squeezes Lila's hand. "Your grandma would be proud," she says, her eyes shining. "She left you this place for a reason." Lila nods, tears prickling, but they're not sad. They're proof she's alive, fighting, whole. As the 30 days end, Ellen and Ron move to a cousin's place in Tacoma. Their departure, quiet, almost ghostly. Cassie bounces to a friend's couch, her tech dreams in tatters. Her name blacklisted after the firm shared her file with industry contacts. Lila stands alone in the apartment, the door locked, the silence hers. She walks to the window, watching the city pulse below, and feels something new power, not over others, but over herself. The debt is clearing, the apartment is hers, and Cassie's shadow is fading. She picks up a paintbrush, dipping it in red, and starts a new sketch. It's not about pain anymore. It's about possibility. The girl who bled on the kitchen floor is gone. In her place is Lila, unbroken, ready to build. Rain taps the windows of Lila's Seattle apartment, a gentle rhythm that feels like permission to breathe. The walls, freshly painted blue, glow under the soft light of a thrift store lamp. Lila stands in her new art studio, once Cassie's room, her hands smudged with charcoal from a half-finished sketch. The bird she drew weeks ago now has a sky bold streaks of crimson and gold, a horizon that dares to hope. Her ribs still ache, a faint echo of the fracture, but the pain no longer owns her. She's 23, and for the first time, she's building a life that's hers. Lila enrolls at the University of Washington. Her art scholarship reinstated after months of deferral. The campus, with its cherry blossoms and buzzing energy, feels like a world away from the suffocating apartment. In her first class, she presents a painting, a fractured figure rising from shadows. Her professor, a wiry man with kind eyes, nods. "This is raw." He says, "Keep going." Lila does. She pours her story into every canvas: the bruises, the betrayal, the fire that woke her. Her classmates whisper about her work, drawn to its honesty, and Lila feels seen, not as a victim, but as an artist. At night, she posts her sketches on Instagram, each one paired with a caption about surviving. This is for anyone who's been erased. She writes under a drawing of a cracked heart stitched with gold. The post goes viral, shared by strangers who see themselves in her lines. Comments flood in. "You're so strong. This saved me today." Lila reads them, her throat tight, and realizes she's not alone. She starts a hashtag. Break the cage, and it spreads, connecting her to others who've clawed their way out of abuse. Her followers grow hundreds, then thousands. A local gallery in Capitol Hill notices, inviting her to a group exhibit. Lila hesitates, then says yes, her voice steady. This is her stage now. The exhibit is small but electric, the room buzzing with artists and curious locals. Lila's paintings hang under soft lights, each one a chapter of her fight. She wears a simple black dress and her grandmother's ring, its weight grounding her. As she speaks to the crowd, her voice clear. She tells her story, not all of it, but enough. "Art saved me," she says. "It gave me a voice when I thought I'd lost it." The applause is warm, not thunderous, but it's enough. A woman approaches after, tears in her eyes, and whispers, "Thank you for showing me I can keep going." Lila hugs her, her heart full, She runs into Jake, her old boyfriend, at a coffee shop near Pike Place. He's sheepish, apologizing for believing Cassie's lies years ago. "I was stupid," he says, stirring his latte. Lila sips her tea, her gaze calm. "We both were," she replies, but she doesn't linger. Jake's part of a past she's outgrown. She's learning to choose people who see her Aunt Clara, who texts daily with encouragement, her new friend Mia, a fellow artist who shares her dark humor, the online community that cheers her on. They're her family now, not by blood, but by choice. Lila's still healing. Nightmares of Cassie's screams sneak in, and she sometimes doubts her worth. But she's learning to forgive herself for staying silent so long. She paints through the doubt, each stroke a step toward peace. Her barista job becomes part-time, her art sales covering rent. A tech blog mentions Cassie, now working odd jobs, her name a cautionary tale in Seattle's tight-knit industry. Lila feels no joy in it, only closure. She's not here to destroy, just to rise. Standing in her studio, Lila starts a new canvas. This one for her. It's a self-portrait, not of the girl who bled, but of the woman who's soaring. The colors are fierce, unapologetic, like her. She's not done growing, but she's free, and that's enough for now. Lila stands on a small stage in a Capitol Hill gallery, the Seattle skyline twinkling through the window behind her. Her paintings line the walls, each a testament to her survival, their bold colors catching the light. She's 23, her dark hair pulled back, her grandmother's ring glinting on her finger a quiet anchor. The crowd, a mix of artists and strangers, watches her, their faces warm with anticipation. Lila's voice, once silenced, now carries, steady and clear. "This is for every time I was told to stay quiet," she says, her eyes shining. "This is for me." The applause ripples through the room, soft but sincere, and Lila smiles, not for them, but for the girl she's become. The exhibit marks a year since the eviction, since Cassie's screams faded and Ellen's excuses fell silent. Cassie's a ghost now, scraping by on temp jobs, her tech dreams buried under the weight of her lies. Ellen and Ron live with a cousin in Tacoma, their calls to Lila unanswered. She doesn't hate them, she's just done carrying their baggage. Her apartment, once a cage, is now a home, its blue walls alive with her art. She's paid off the fraudulent debt, thanks to Sarah Nguyen's legal work, and her credit is hers again. A small but fierce victory. Lila's life is her own canvas. Her Instagram, alive with Fee Ko Break the Cage, has grown into a movement, inspiring others to share their stories. She's planning a solo exhibit, her confidence blooming like the cherry blossoms outside her university. Aunt Clara's proud texts arrive daily, and Mia, her artist friend, is already scheming a joint project. Lila wears her grandmother's ring every day, a reminder that strength runs in her blood, not in the family that broke her. As she steps off the stage, a young woman approaches, clutching a sketchbook. "Your art, it helped me leave," she whispers. Lila nods, her heart full. She's not just surviving, she's lighting the way for others. The night ends with her alone in her studio, painting a final piece, a woman, wings of fire, soaring over a shattered cage. It's her story, her ending, written in her own hand. Life lessons echo in her work. Set boundaries, say no to those who hurt you, even if they're family. Document everything, photos, recordings. Proof can be your shield. Find your people, friends, mentors, communities who lift you up. Create to heal art, writing, anything that turns pain into power. Believe in your worth, you don't need validation from those who wound you. Lila's learned these truths the hard way, but they're hers now, carved into her bones. She closes her sketchbook, the city quiet outside, and whispers to herself, "You did it." The words are enough. She's enough.